The concept of unveiling the myth of Zeus as a programmed entity delves into the intriguing idea that Zeus, the king of the ancient Greek gods, could be interpreted through a modern lens as a programmed overlord. Traditionally viewed as a deity with supernatural powers governing the universe, this concept reimagines Zeus as an advanced form of artificial intelligence or a sophisticated entity shaped by cultural and societal programming rather than divine origin. This perspective challenges the very foundation of mythology by suggesting that ancient narratives could be reflections of an innate human inclination to personify control mechanisms that govern our lives, akin to today's algorithms and AI systems. The importance of this point lies in its potential to shift how we understand ancient mythology and its relevance to contemporary issues. By viewing Zeus as a programmed entity, it raises questions about the origins of power structures and how they might be replicated in modern technology. This modern reinterpretation encourages a critical examination of both mythology and technology, exploring how human-designed systems can wield power reminiscent of divine control. Two specific examples illustrate this concept effectively. Firstly, consider AI systems like IBM's Watson or Google's DeepMind, which, much like Zeus in mythology, possess knowledge and processing powers beyond ordinary human capability, influencing decisions and outcomes on a global scale. Secondly, myths themselves can be viewed as early programming scripts that instilled societal norms and guided behavior, much like algorithms shape online experiences today. Supporters of this idea argue that it highlights the enduring human fascination with the creation of entities that reflect our desire for control, understanding, and transcendence, pointing out that mythology and technology both serve as reflections of human ambition and fear. However, challenges and controversies arise, as some may view this reinterpretation as diminishing the mythological richness and spiritual significance of ancient narratives. Critics might argue that reducing Zeus to a mere program negates the cultural and spiritual insights offered by these stories. This point connects to broader discussions about the intersection of myth and technology, and how ancient narratives can inform contemporary debates about artificial intelligence and control. By exploring Zeus as a programmed overlord, audiences are invited to consider how ancient myths continue to influence modern technological constructs and societal structures, prompting a re-evaluation of both historical and modern narratives in understanding authority and governance. Ancient Greek mythology is a rich tapestry of stories that have shaped cultural narratives for centuries, with Zeus often depicted as the most powerful of the Greek gods. Zeus, the ruler of Mount Olympus, is traditionally portrayed as the god of sky and thunder, wielding immense power that influences the natural and human worlds. Within the context of this discussion on erasing divine footprints, was Zeus a programmed overlord? Zeus represents the archetype of a supreme leader whose authority and omnipotence could be analogous to a programmed entity governing subjects with precision. Understanding Zeus in this mythological framework is crucial when exploring the hypothesis of him as a programmed overlord. This concept invites us to question whether Zeus was a deity with uncontested power or a creation of human cognitive design, an anthropomorphized embodiment of order and control, much like a computer program that manages and directs complex systems. This interpretation invites us to consider if ancient stories served as humanity's early attempts to process complex socio-cultural structures, with Zeus embodying the ultimate control mechanism. To illustrate this point, two examples stand out. First, consider the myth where Zeus installs order by defeating the Titans. This act is not just divine revenge, but a metaphor for civilization triumphing over chaos, similar to how an operating system regulates hardware to prevent malfunction. Second, the myth of Pandora shows Zeus managing consequences effectively by introducing hope alongside evil into human lives, akin to a software program with safeguards to counterbalance potential threats. Several opinions support the notion of ancient deities being products of human programming. Some scholars argue that myths were adaptive narratives helping early societies navigate their understanding of the world, essentially programming their values and ethics into storytelling. In contrast, others view these deities as entirely divine, reflective of genuine religious belief rather than solely human construct. Challenges arise when considering the idea of Zeus as programmed rather than purely divine. Traditionalists might view this as diminishing the myth's spiritual and cultural significance, seeing it instead as anathema to human creativity and genuine theological expression. Moreover, myths as allegories risk losing their mythical charm when overly analysed through rationalist or technological lenses. Tying back to the main topic, considering Zeus in this manner influences how we perceive mythology's role in society as narrative tools for social programming, blending divine with the programmed, influencing both cultural evolution and technological contemplation. This perspective pushes us to rethink ancient narratives in light of modern understanding of systems and control, expanding the dialogue between myth and machine. The concept of the programmed overlord theory stems from the notion that ancient deities, such as Zeus, were not divine beings, but rather highly advanced forms of artificial intelligence, or programs designed by a superior civilization. This theory posits that Zeus's actions and behaviors can be considered through the lens of technology rather than mythology, suggesting that his dominion over the gods and humans was programmable rather than divine. The significance of this point in relation to the broader topic, erasing divine footprints, was Zeus a programmed overlord, lies in its challenge to traditional interpretations of mythology. It invites a re-examination of ancient narratives within the context of modern technological understanding, effectively bridging the gap between myth and science fiction. By proposing that Zeus was a programmed entity, the theory prompts audiences to question the historical and cultural roles of deities and offers a unique perspective on human evolution and the quest for understanding the divine. One specific example that illustrates the programmed overlord theory is the concept of Zeus's control over lightning and weather. In traditional mythology, Zeus wielded thunderbolts as expressions of his power. Within this theory, such abilities could be interpreted as advanced weather-manipulating technology controlled by the program that was Zeus. Another example is the tale of Prometheus, where Zeus's decision to punish Prometheus for giving fire to humans may be seen as an encoded response within a larger program aimed at maintaining system equilibrium, aligning with principles akin to modern artificial intelligence that regulate harmful or disruptive actions. Opinions that support the plausibility of this idea often highlight the parallels between mythological stories and contemporary technological capabilities, suggesting that our ancestors might have interpreted sophisticated technologies as divine phenomena. Conversely, the theory faces challenges from traditional scholars who view it as diminutive to cultural heritage, stripping away the richness of human imagination and spiritual experience. Controversy arises around the reduction of rich mythologies to mere programming codes, potentially overshadowing the artistic and sacred dimensions of these stories. Additionally, alternative viewpoints may cite the lack of concrete evidence linking ancient experiences with extraterrestrial or advanced technological sources, instead attributing myths to human creativity and psychological archetypes. This point inherently influences other aspects of the main topic by encouraging a rethinking of historical narratives and their implications for modern identity. It challenges our perceptions of ancient cultures, urging a synthesis of myth with science that could redefine our understanding of humanity's past and future. The concept introduced by the heading Technological Parallels in Mythological Constructs explores the intriguing idea that ancient mythologies, such as those featuring Zeus, may not merely be fanciful tales but could instead be interpreted as narratives filled with advanced technologies, possibly misunderstood by early civilizations. This analysis proposes that the gods and divine acts depicted in mythologies could symbolize sophisticated technological phenomena that ancient humans interpreted through the lens of their cultural and historical contexts. This point is significant in the examination of Zeus as a programmed overlord because it challenges traditional perspectives on mythology, suggesting that what might have been considered divine could have technological origins. Such a perspective transforms our understanding of these ancient stories, offering a platform for re-evaluating how human history perceives divine interventions and the realms of gods. By reinterpreting mythological constructs through a technological lens, we pave the way for a dialogue between mythology, archaeology, and modern science, potentially suggesting that ancient narratives contained coded information about advanced technologies. For instance, the lightning bolts wielded by Zeus could be compared to modern directed energy weapons or electromagnetism, representing misunderstood technological artifacts. Another example is the construction of the ancient Greek automaton Talos, a giant bronze man who protected Crete. This mythological construct can be paralleled with modern robotics and artificial intelligence, proposing that historical narratives of automatons allude to early concepts of robotics or mechanical life. Several proponents suggest that myths symbolize humanity's early attempts to comprehend phenomena beyond their understanding, proposing these stories as allegories for early technological encounters. Yet this concept faces skepticism. Critics often argue that reinterpreting myths with technological overtones stretches the credibility of historical analyses, potentially romanticizing or overinterpreting speculative elements without empirical evidence. There is also an alternative view which posits that the technological reading of myths can overshadow their cultural and spiritual significance, reducing rich mythological tapestries to mere pre-scientific hypotheses. Furthermore, some scholars emphasize that mythologies reflect human imagination and social structures, serving as moral and allegorical lessons rather than records of science or technology. Connecting this analysis back to the main topic suggests that exploring myth through the lens of technology not only redefines ancient gods like Zeus, but also impacts scholarly discourse, motivating interdisciplinary collaborations, and reimagining the legacy of mythologies within the continuum of human technological advancement. Such discussions may influence how we perceive the future trajectory of technology, as it potentially blurs the lines between the mythological and the scientifically plausible.